You know,
That topic's come up several times in this podcast, and I think we need to just kind of like call out furniture dealers.
yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Stop saying it's hard. It's always been hard. There are always challenges. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If you want easy, go get a fucking job. Like, you're building generational wealth for your family. Stop complaining about it. You're a 1%er. Go out and make something happen. Go learn something. Go change something, right? I'm just so frustrated with seeing these people complaining and then they go out of business, complaining, go out of business. Like, grind. And while that was nice because we were able to pick the best sellers and things like that, what you found was,
Bitch, I can see you falling asleep while I'm telling my
I'm
story.
not falling asleep. Look, just try it.
And welcome to Two Homeboys. I'm your host, Joe Walter with Tango Multimedia, and here joined by my beautiful co-host, Gabriel Cohen from Classy Art. And
welcome, everybody.
We're happy to have you join us here today.
So you mentioned that you're finally back on the bourbon game. Welcome back.
Yeah.
We've missed you. Let's talk about it. What you got?
Thank you. All right. You ready? This is a special gift from a previous guest of ours.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a gift bottle as well from somebody who will never come on the podcast for some reason.
Really?
He's not interested. I think, right? Didn't we talk to him?
Who?
I don't know. You don't know who it is. Okay. What you got?
Okay. So Tom Liddell hooked me up in a major way. We were just chit-chatting the other day, and the conversation evolved into bourbon talk.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving me some tips on things that he has heard are hot lately and are getting good reviews. And so I was looking them up as we're talking and saving the browser tabs to get, to go looking for some of these things. And at the end of the conversation, I said, I'm going to go try to find one of these. This was just on like Thursday or Friday.
Oh,
I said, I'm going to go try to find one of these because we're recording a podcast on Monday and I want to have something interesting to talk about. And he's like, what's your address? And I said, well, you don't need my address. And he's like, yeah, if I find it, it's hard to find. And if I find it, I'll get a bottle sent to you. So, of course, he sent me a bottle. And it is the Old Fitzgerald 7-year. Comes in
it's got a bag,
fancy velvet sleeve.
Ooh.
And so this is the stuff.
All right.
So
I like the bottle.
7-year. Is that coming out all right?
7-year age. Just put a hand behind this a little. Come on, you're an influencer now. No. You gotta know these things.
So I do know a little bit about the Zennials. The replacement for the hand behind the thing is now
look how clear that is. Oh,
it's the tapping.
That works. How about that?
So there you go.
Look at you. I want a slug of that. I'm kind of jealous. Damn it, Tom.
And I have a backup. I have an everydayer here because I don't want this is a nice bottle and I don't want to burn it all,
pound it all
on us. Just being silly today. So
yeah.
So here we go. We got the Two Homeboys glass.
So that's super interesting. My bottle came from Tom's boss.
No. Really?
He's the colleague, right? Rob Rosenberg carried this to High Point for us to drink on the show. On the High Point episode, but because we started drinking or filming at 10 a.m., we had to go with mimosas. He totally understood. So
yeah,
High West, it's got a batch number 24B19.
Oh, I heard that the 24B19 is the good.
I've been looking for the 2419B.
Yeah,
with the sex and dyslexia. Anyways, it's a blend of straight bourbon. So they're a blend, and it's some of their own distilled whiskey with sourced others. So that's unique. I haven't heard that before. So we'll give it a go. Did you already go in?
Wow.
Damn, you didn't wait for me and nothing.
That's good. Well, you were talking and shit.
I've been waiting for you for an hour.
Man, that's good.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
So thank you, Plan Furniture Promotions.
Yeah, for real.
For
Plan
supplying
Furniture
our whiskey of
Promotions
the evening
came
without even
through.
knowing. Isn't that something?
Yeah. What are the odds? Well, the odds are really high because they don't have that many people that work there, and they're all really great people.
That's true.
You know,
Well put.
so
They are wonderful people, every single one of them.
stand-up dudes. That's really good. And to go a step further, not to outdo you, and not to say that Tom likes me more than Rob likes you, but he actually
This is way better than yours. I already know.
He sent me 2
Good job,
bottles.
Rob. This is way better than his.
So he also
I've tasted that bullshit before. What'd you say? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
He also sent me a fancy maker's mark, which I'm saving for a future episode.
All right. A little foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay tuned, folks.
You've used this before. This is what you use to get rust off your calipers. Man, that's good. Yeah, he steered me right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do the swisheroo and try again. So this is a little, did we talk about what this is?
Mm-hmm. But this has no bite, even swishing. I can swish normal. So as a reminder, when we spent Joe's bachelor party on the Bourbon Trail, they taught us to swish for like, was it 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And then, give or take, and then swallow, breathe out from your mouth. And when you drink the bourbon after that, it has an entirely different flavor palette. I guess you get to truly taste it, what's behind the burn, because it doesn't burn after you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if
But
you're really interested,
burn.
Yeah, mine did a little bit, but
I told you, Rob, you win, buddy. Mine's better. Not to one up you.
A classic one-upper. The if you really are curious, go back and watch that previous episode because then it was fresher on our minds what the actual rules were for the swisheroo.
It definitely changed the game for me and my bourbon experience.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'd second that. So what you been up to?
Working, bro.
Yeah,
working. Yeah.
How's your AI stuff working out?
That's a wonderful question. I haven't really followed up so much on it. I know Ethan and Craig are really, really making a hard push to get everything enriched and in NetSuite and things like that by way of AI, not a human enriching. Now, we enriched all the fields that we had, which was a ton of fields. Like, I think besides the regular data we'd have on a product like size and, color, normal stuff every company has, you then have the e-commerce enrichment, which is like frame color, subject matter, category, blah, 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 vertical, horizontal, like bullet points, all these things. Well, so since then, we've signed up with a third-party entity who's going to be managing our e-commerce side of the business. And they had like way more fields. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, I forgot. Like, I think Craig said he was on column DQ or something. I'm just making that up. But it was like some outrageous number of columns. So, but once it's done, then it's going to be a whole lot easier to just plug and play and add to any e-commerce platform that we may not be doing.
Is that because, like, do you need more columns because of the different e-com outlets have different things that they ask for? Is that why you would need
Yeah,
more
I
than
mean, there's
one?
obviously a ton of overlap, right? Like, everybody needs to know the size and the selling features and the hanging hardware and, but yeah, some of them are very specific to that particular partner. And these guys work with 30 partners, right? So all the big ones, so they just wanna make sure oh, sorry, that it's all in one place. Um, so yeah, that's what's happening with the AI. We have all these projects for them, but Craig's keeping them too busy with that. And I think they're supposed to be done like middle of this week. So free him up to do some of the other stuff.
And will this give you access to platforms that you've not been able to sell on before? Or it just gives you more data in your product
No,
listing
no,
to help you
both,
sell better?
both, both. So this firm employs X buyers from each of those firms. So that's who's handling our data, making the sales calls, doing the promos, things like that, which is quite brilliant. Um, and so yeah, let's say they work with 30 partners, right? Um, ideally, we'd be in all 30. I don't know if that's reality or not, but let's say we get into 20. Right now we're in 6. But then also we bring in partners, right? Like we're doing some stuff for the Navy. So they don't work with the Navy. So we bring the Navy to them to get us set up, and then they start servicing the Navy for their other clients as well.
Really? So how did you get into selling the Navy? Is it Trump?
Yeah, I just called him. I'm like, yo, I heard y'all got some shit going down in Iran.
Them
We gotta
boats
get
is
we gotta
boring on the inside, dude.
we gotta get us some of that. No, actually, interestingly enough, they just walked in at High Point, and it was Michael's first High Point back then, and he was working with them, and we didn't know who they were, and then saw the card. But he had handled them, and then so yeah, that's kind of how it started. So I
The
let him.
uniform didn't cue you in to.
They're just like regular buyers, like
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so
Uh,
where will these sell? Like they're going to go into the stores that are on Navy bases, or are they going to like how do you sell to the Navy?
so there's both. There's the ecom platform, and each of the branch has a different ecom platform. So like there's APHIS, there's Nextcom, there's different ones for each branch where soldiers go on there and order everything, right? And then they also have selling things on base. And so we've done that back in the day for the Marines. We used to sell all the bases. It was wild because it'd be like going across the world, our little art simplify, right? Like little $20 picture is going to, I don't know, bar.
Afghanistan or something.
Yeah. Bar
Wow.
shit.
And so
So,
so the all of the enlisted folks have the ability to go buy in a store that's on a base, or they have a website that's specific to military people
yes.
or specific to their branch.
Yes.
So like does the Navy buyer have any pull with the Marine Corps buyer and say, hey, we can
I don't know.
introduce you to them? Or
I don't know. I'll ask those questions for sure.
that's really interesting. Like I would assume that they would have one website for all of the military. Like why do they need separate websites for them
Yeah, I don't
to
know.
order from?
But you know what they do need? They need to change the Pentagon to a hexagon.
And that
Because
sounds
we
like
got
a really big task. Why would
Space Force, man. Space Force feeling left out. Some bullshit.
so Space Force not being allowed into the Pentagon because there's not a wing
There's not a
for them?
wing. Yeah, and
They could just fill
I
in the
don't know if
middle.
they have a website, an e-commerce site either. I don't know.
Hmm.
Have my team look into that.
Space Force. We would just notice that there is a NASA store here in Chattanooga now,
Mm.
and we both were sort of puzzled. Like, what does one buy at a NASA store? And
Merch.
yeah, it seems like it's
Space
just
food.
merch.
Yeah.
My-
Well, so here in Houston, a lot of people wear NASA merch. Is
because
that
it's such a big influence in the area.
Maybe most people haven't even been. So there's that,
You haven't
like
been to
most of us.
space, loser.
Yeah.
Stolen valor.
Oh shit.
You didn't earn that NASA shirt, dummy.
Remember how cool it was? Remember there was that movie when we were kids? Or when I was a kid, you were probably in college by then. What
Spaceballs.
was it? Space Camp.
Oh, Space
Spaceballs was
Camp.
good too. Space Camp. I remember wanting to go to Space Camp when I was young.
Yeah. So, speaking of those kind of movies, we were just talking about like what happened to Leslie Nielsen. You remember the guy
Not
from
the kidnapped guy?
Airplane?
That's the guy that his daughter got kidnapped?
I don't know.
Which one is he?
He was the main guy from Airplane. Like
Oh,
Frank
you're talking Naked
about,
Gun guy?
yeah, Naked Gun.
Yeah. I don't know. What did happen?
Like he is gone, and there's not really any movies like that. There hasn't been lately. There's been
Really?
other dumb, silly movies, but that had a unique flavor to it. And Spaceballs was kind of that way also. But
Ish.
I saw that
Yeah.
they're coming out with a new either Naked Gun or Airplane. I can't remember
Really?
which one it was. Yeah, but
One of them.
But
it's not him.
that. No, not him. He could be dead. I don't know.
I was just gonna say I would ask Alex to pull it up, but he spilled tea on his laptop.
The first rule of owning a laptop: keep the tea away from it.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
All right. What have you been up to, sir? What's Tango up to?
Oh shit, man. I've been up to a lot. And Tango has been up to a lot. So after market, we came home and we saw Hamilton, the musical.
Okay, yeah, you told
which
me about
was
that.
super
Yeah,
awesome. Like highly recommended. I know that I'm late to the game and everybody's already seen it, but if you haven't, like we hadn't, and it comes to your town, it's worth whatever it costs to go see it. They're so talented and such a great way to tell that story. And then we went to Napa Valley, turned around and went to San Francisco and Napa Valley for a week. And
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was you remember it, but the viewers.
I remember you were out of touch. My sponsor, who's supposed to keep me out of a relationship, was unreachable while I was falling in love with the wrong person.
It happens, man.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I apologized.
All right, I got a new sponsor. Do you have your birthday present there?
Not close enough to get. No.
That would have been good.
So
Napa, that was amazing.
Yeah, really cool. Like you can appreciate why it costs so much to live in California. Like the weather is just perfect.
Yeah,
and going to the wineries was a really neat experience. Very expensive, and you get numb to the high price of things. So
dangerous.
you just start, especially when you're not paying the bill, you're just putting it on the card and the bill comes later. Like gas is $5 a gallon. Every dinner is over $100. Lunch is $100. It's like outrageously expensive for everything. But super cool. And when we were at market prior to going, and telling people that we're going to to Napa, everybody has suggestions of what winery you should go to. And what I found really interesting was that all of those suggestions are different. So like everybody's got a handful of things, and they're like, oh, well, you got to check out this one and you got to check out that one, but nobody's are the same. So it really makes it confusing is to figure out, well, which one should we actually go to? Everybody feels like the ones they went to are the best.
We had a bit of that on the Bourbon Trail, right?
Yeah.
But it worked out because everybody was sold out anyways. We couldn't go to any.
We went to the ones that were available.
Yeah. But what would be good is when you're getting the suggestions is asking why. Like, why did you like that one? Well, to see if that resonates with you.
I ended up, as it turned out, I had already planned where we were going to go based on the recommendations of Kurt Grady. And Kurt is a guy that works for Serta Simmons Bedding and is really into wine.
Mm-hmm.
And he, in addition to working for Serta and Simmons, he also had a bar not that long ago. So he's, knows it from the business side. And he gave me recommendations and they were all great. I would not have figured out to go to these particular ones had it not been for him saying this is where you should go. And he had reasons. So he didn't just say go to these 5. He said at this one you will see the most modern facility that in the area or whatever. And this one is famous for their bold Cabernets, and he just had different reasons for each one.
Mm-hmm.
This one's in a fabulous old mansion, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool, and I would recommend obviously those same ones to anybody who would ask. But I've just become one of the crowd that has my own 5 that must be the best ones ever. So, and then we came back and went to Nashville for my daughter's 21st birthday, which was really fun. And she did 21 the way you should.
Oh, good. And you got to witness that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Throw up?
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yep. In the bar, in the street, on the way home. Like, yeah. And
proud dad.
Immediate recovery. Like, it's so different. It is a real reminder of how hard it is when you're 51, to go out like that. And if I was drunk enough to throw up, that would be the end of probably my week.
Yeah. Yeah. Throwing up's hard. I can't remember the last time I thrown up.
Yeah. And she got right back out there and was ready to go, or at least was able to go again the next day.
Yeah.
So
damn, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't raise the losers.
Puke and rally.
Yeah. So a lot of exciting stuff. And then Owen just got a deal shooting a promo spot for Cirque du Soleil in Orlando. So that was really cool. Big hit for him.
That's cool.
So
fuck those guys. I told you, right? Like they stiffed us for like 16 grand or whatever.
Disney?
And I used to Cirque.
Really? On the marketing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really?
It was during COVID. They filed bankruptcy during COVID. No, we got hit with the bill. And then we had an opportunity. It would have been kind of shady. So they booked us through a third party, which is Strike Marketing, which was like our regular client. They brought us all kinds of clients, but they were our friends.
Strike was.
And Cirque came back post bankruptcy and wanted our services. And I told Jonathan, I was like, just tell them to prepay and don't do it. And we just couldn't do that to Strike. But like bankruptcy laws were retarded. I know you can't say that. I just did. It's stupid.
Yeah. Well, how are you faring in the cons bankruptcy thing? I've been following that, and this Brian Carroll is a writer for Home News Now, and he's really good. Like the whole thing is so complicated, and it's so difficult to follow. And he's really done a great job of trying to, what I picture when he writes this is having that big map on the wall with the strings connecting all the pins.
Yeah.
Figure it out that way.
Red yarn.
Yeah. So
investigative reporter.
And it's miraculous how big of a mess it is, and how many different hands are in this thing, and
it's over my head.
Feels shady. But are you guys gonna get any money? They have
no.
So whatever they owed you is just too bad.
Yeah. And we couldn't even pick up merchandise. We even tried to buy our displays back from them, and it didn't pan out. Like, it didn't work out. Like,
Jeez.
everything moved too quick.
My gosh.
So,
So
and they sat with, like, at any given time, $1 million worth of our inventory. So, like, even though they owed us at the time, I think it was like $250,000. There's nothing you can do. You can't give my fucking inventory. I just shipped you 130 grand. Like, let me get that back. Like,
yeah.
no, there's nothing. And it's unsecured debt. So all the secured creditors are going to get paid first, right? But
And
I don't
then
know. It's all over my head. Like, I have never once seen a dollar post bankruptcy from any customer. So once it's filed, I'm like, it is what it is. I had one customer that I had a personal relationship with, and he was like, if I got to sell my part of my liver, I will. I'll get you paid. And I'm like, why don't you sell blood and semen first? But of course, he never came good on it. You know, it's just one of those things.
yeah.
So
And there's
yeah.
like you don't even feel like there's a chance that someday in the future a check just shows up for 3% of what you were owed or anything.
I don't know.
No.
I mean, it's possible, but again, it's all over my head. Jonathan deals with all that stuff. So
Yeah, man, that's something else. What about freight, tariffs? Is that stuff calming down? Are you noticing people are not ordering, they are stocking up? What's happening in that realm?
yeah, so couple things. We've seen a couple of things. When we went to market where everything was crazy, 150%, whatever, we advertised no tariffs on 95% of our SKUs, which a giant portion is domestically made. And then our tempered glass, we were able to move production quickly enough to Taiwan to avoid that outrageous number. So that was going to be tariff free. And that line alone represents 50% of our revenue. So that was a big thing to go into market with. And there were some people who were like annoyed because the things they liked had a surcharge. It was a 20% surcharge. So like it's like, why don't you just buy the rest of the 95%? Like, we didn't tell you what to pick. We told you going into it. So that was frustrating for me because it was hard to have such a small surcharge. But then when it went away, we ended up not getting hit with any of it. We not only removed it from the orders that had been placed, but anything in our receivables got credits for those tariff surcharges they paid, and customers that had already paid invoices got credits in the system for those surcharges. So that was kind of cool. We did get to look to like a hero to those guys. Now they say it's calmed down in a sense that we have a deal, right? But it's still not a good deal. I mean, I don't know, good deal for America versus good deal for me. Like, the tariff rates are still quite high. Um, and so it's like 50%, give or take. There are some things that we've been able to work out to avoid any price increases. Um, that I'm not 100% sure. I've talked to a couple of my dealers that haven't taken any price increases from other art vendors, but I can't divulge too much. But we have no price increase, and we're not taking a loss. I'll say that we're not losing any margin, and there's no price increase.
And a way
And
that something like that could happen is you could go back to a manufacturer and say, look, you
not
got to give me a
50%,
better price.
not 50%. When you
Yeah.
get deals from China, it's like, hey, I'm buying 5,000 of this. I need a better price. It'll be like 3%, 4%, 5%. It's going to be the top. But we have managed to find some things. I can't talk about them. They're
Yeah.
trade secrets, but it's an exclusive to Classy Art situation unless these guys have done the same. But it's very unlikely that they have found these methods. We'll
Yeah.
see.
And so for the consumer or for the retailer, the buyer of your product, the tariff is on the item itself, but a freight has to be a pretty significant portion of the cost of the item to them, right? Like,
Depends.
so,
It's based on the size, right?
okay.
So it's a significant piece, but nothing like 50% of the cost of the unit, right? So
Yeah. But
let's say I buy this
it's a
thing.
part of the overall price that's not going up. So if freight is 20% of the cost of the item, freight's not changing, so it's the remaining 80% of the cost that's going up 50%. Am I thinking about that right?
Kind of, but container freight also doubled.
Oh,
So where a
what?
container used to cost 4 grand, it's now sitting at 8.
Oh,
Actually, I think it took a dip on January 15th. It dipped down a little bit, but what happens is demand drives price, and there's very few players in the game when it's the actual like big cargo ships that are coming, and then there's all these freight forwarders that are like buying space on those ships. Um, but Yeah, so you have all these containers that got put on hold while everything was crazy, and then when it went away for those 90 days, everybody's like, "Ship away, ship away."
and then the boats
But
fill up, and then now you've got a supply and demand problem because
right,
everybody wants it shipped all of a sudden.
right, which Jonathan called way in advance, but what are you gonna do? You just gotta suck it up, buttercup. So, and there are some retailers that say, "I don't care, ship it anyways. I'd rather have product than no product." We had some, customers that said, "Okay, let me buy out of your warehouse again instead of direct." Um, and whatever inventory we had. And then we had some customers that, even though we were the importer on record, which means we're responsible for the tariff, they canceled they paused their orders. Then, when everything got the 90-day extension, they were like, "Okay, well, let's get moving on these. Let's go ahead and ship them," which was great news. And then they had a company-wide mandate, we're not buying from China anymore. So then, and this particular customer, one of the containers had already shipped. It wasn't on the vessel, but they had their carrier return it to the factory, which that was an extra grand, which is insane. Like, I'm paying for the tariffs. What is your problem? So so that was very weird, but and they're like in the top 3 furniture retailers in the country. I'm not going to say their name, but I didn't quite understand that, and neither did the buyer, actually. So, but to do business with them, it's always been they have to book their own freight because they want to use their contracts, but you're always the importer on record. So if that's the case for every vendor, why all this? Like, the freight's cheap, nobody's shipping. Use your carrier, and we're responsible for the tariff because we're the importer on record. So it was really a poor business decision. I talked about it to the buyer, and she was like, I know you're right, but like, this is coming down from corporate. Like, this, we can't do anything about it." So since then, we've kind of changed. They said, "Okay, you have to use your own carriers now and be the importer on record and sign these documents." So the only thing that's changed is they took a price increase because now we have to cover the freight, and we're covering the tariff, which, like I said, we're good. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's no rhyme. Everybody has a difference in opinion, but it has calmed down.
Yeah. And it's still not over though, right? Like I thought that the pause is still not entirely settled, or are you feeling like it is settled at this point?
Yeah, they have a deal. They said they have a deal. I don't know if it's signed, sealed, and delivered, but um before that 90-day extension was over, which is, it's still not over. They signed a deal, like, and like, I think it's like uh our goods into China, they're charging 10% tariff, and their goods in here, we're charging 50, give or take, right? Each category is different. We're just talking about the reciprocal stuff. But And it's different category by category. One of the things that we are getting hit on is our stands. Steel is not an industry you want to be an importer in right now. So that's taking a hit. So that will see
Wow.
an increase. Those 1 or 2 SKUs that we do, the stands.
Yeah. And by stand, so for the viewers, this is something that only a showroom would buy. It's for display purposes inside a showroom. It's not
Correct.
something that a consumer would ever.
It's a fixture.
A fixture. Yeah. All right. Wow. And so there's just no place else to get those made.
It's such a small part of the business.
It's not worth the hassle of.
Right. We're going to lower our margin.
Yeah.
I mean, we want them out there. People, we did a study. We took we looked at the dealers who had invested in these stands years ago, and we looked at the 6 months worth of revenue they did with us before that investment, and then 6 months after.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how many tested, 10, 12 dealers. And on average, it was a 4x multiple.
Jeez.
By investing in these stands. So obviously we want people having these stands because they're going to turn more art, whether it's ours or somebody else's. Like they're just going to turn more art.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So it helps them display it in a way that's more meaningful to the consumer. Yeah. So did you find, like, as far as markets go, was it a worse market for you because people just didn't want to make a decision? Was it about the same as usual? You know, some people.
I'd say same as usual. I mean, it was really like, as far as attendance went and as far as like order writing and proposals, it was the best market we've ever had. Now, the things that make it a really great market are the big boys who aren't going to do the order writing there, but they're going to write up like lineups and quotes. And some of those are still trickling. So you can't truly gauge the dollar if it was better than the last. But from a traffic perspective, it was the best ever. I mean, we had fucking capuchin monkeys in our showroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, but I heard from everybody else it was down. It was, you know, like slow. And, you know, that attitude has existed in this industry as long as I've been in it. And so, you know, we just turn a blind eye. Is that the right way? We just put our blinders on. Like, we're doing what we're doing, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you know, what was interesting was we spent weeks and weeks and weeks in our think room. We have a thinking room, like a brainstorming room, trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to deal with these. I mean, it was every day was new news. So we'd be back in the thing. And then when we got to market.
Is that like a nursing pod?
No, it's just a room with a bunch of fucking dry erase boards and a table. All right. So, but we stress and feel like we found this perfect solution where we turned it into an opportunity and we were able to advertise no tariffs on 95% of our goods. And and then there was a 20% on these. And so like, it was all that. And then when we got to market, nobody fucking asked. Like, nobody. We had to have a meeting at the end of the first day, which was, you know, pre-opening day.
When you say nobody, you mean buyers or your reps?
Buyers. The buyers. We did inform the reps what we were doing, and these items were going to have this 20% surcharge. And if you weren't at the meeting, you missed that info, and we got complaints later from your customers, which was quite frustrating and annoying. It's like, you're supposed to represent classy art. You don't have the information because you weren't at the meeting. You misrepresented our company. And now our customer is mad because of you. And so that's the stance we're taking and holding. But customers weren't asking. So we'd work with a customer. We do a whole lineup and order, whatever. And then we realize that these things are printing the orders and then everything's fine. But then those with the surcharges are putting surcharge. And like, you're just in sales mode, not in, hey, I need to give you this new information mode, especially for a new account.
Yeah.
And so we had to have a whole meeting that said, hey, we need to make sure that we're bringing up the tariffs to every customer that we deal with, because nobody was asking, which was such a surprise. We figured that was going to be the question of the market, every single person,
Yeah.
and nobody cared.
Hmm.
It was weird.
Maybe they just assume they're buying it from you. You're in the US. They're not buying a container. And so the price is the price.
Yeah, but it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I have
That's
no
interesting.
explanation. Yeah.
It
It
was
was a
certainly
shock to
top of
us.
mind. So from a business standpoint, when in thinking about your business, do you pay attention to what your competitors are doing? There's kind
Mm,
of two schools of thought on this, and adapt or or be aware of everything. You should know everything about what everybody else is doing, and the
mhm.
other is just do your thing and don't worry about what anybody else is doing, and be 100%
And
focused on
I
your own
think both
business.
of those schools of thought are good. If doing your thing means progressing and not staying stagnant. Like if you're in the like this is how we've done it for a million years, you better be looking at your competition. We don't like we have a good sense of kind of like where everybody's strengths are and kind of what they do, but not like in detail. Like we're not going in checking prices. Like, do they have something similar to? We're not doing that. Like for a very long time, we kind of just put our blinders on and do what we do. But doing what we do is different than most people in this industry. Like we're shaking shit up all the time, right? We're always doing something that's being talked about. We're making drastic changes and we do them fast. So it's okay for us to put the blinders onto the competition. But if you're this is how we've done it, and this, like that's not gonna work.
Yeah. Well, and you walk around market and you see some showrooms have all their windows blocked off, and they have little signs, no photography and stuff
So
like that.
dumb.
And you just think, what are
Everybody
you
knows.
doing? Like, you're not doing anything that it's so magical that
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
can't figure it out. Like, their reps are calling on other lines and, other
Yeah.
business. Like, it's just,
Everybody's gonna know.
it seems
Be
like
strong or not.
too
Be
much
strong or
effort.
not.
Yeah.
So the first time I experienced that was at our first buying show in China. Every show had curtains. You can't see in, and you cannot take pictures or videos. Now, we were there, we're like, dude, I need this for the quote. Like, and they let us, but everybody was super like secretive. But you'd go to every showroom and it was the same shit. And I'm talking about the very cutting edge stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like this was around the Joanna Gaines era, right? So like that was the thing. That was the new thing. And every showroom had it. The same shit, same SKUs.
Yeah.
And they swap employees all the time. So like what are you doing? Like what's the point?
Right. Well, and it reminds me, or it makes me think about in the software world or in the programming world, like it's a big thing to have your software be open,
Oh,
not
right.
gatekeep your code. So you make it so that anybody can do stuff with it. And it's a similar kind of thing, like
Mhm.
you're just making your secrets available to anybody who wants to use it. And now it's become so ubiquitous that if you don't do that, people, are suspicious of what you're doing. And,
Mhm, mhm.
it's sort of the expectation that your code will be open to anybody to be able to use and input into their software and resell and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of software, I see you got a new skateboard.
yeah, man. I
That's
also
pretty cool.
went to the Google campus when we were in San
Oh,
Francisco,
that's cool.
which is really neat. Massive, massive place. And they've got these Google bicycles all over. And
Mm,
you just hop on it and ride. Anybody.
that's
Like,
cool.
you don't have to be an employee. Anybody can hop on a Google bicycle and just ride around the campus. Visitors, they've got they didn't have a whole lot for visitors. I was expecting maybe there would be tours or something like that. But you could go into their cafeteria, and you could go into. They had like a store, like Google's version of an Apple store, where they have all the Android products.
Okay.
They had that. And but massive outdoor amphitheater, parking garages, tons and tons of office buildings. It's a huge place.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of cool to be around there and know that these all these people that are walking around are creating this product that all of us use so much that it would be hard to imagine life without it. Including
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to see it.
The AI future.
Yeah.
But you can't buy that at the Google store.
Yeah. Ooh. You
got to earn that.
That's pretty cool. I like it. I mean, it's not as cool as the other skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can buy those anywhere and everywhere. Pick up one today.
Coming to a gas station near you.
Whoa.
If you got a Pulse, you get a Classy Art catalog.
Shit. That hurt, man.
That was always the joke about Coaster.
I need to schedule an appointment with my therapist. Whew.
The Coaster used to be like, they didn't say this, but all of the people who bought Coaster would say, they'll sell it to any gas station can get a Coaster catalog. So I don't believe that that's true, but I also don't know that it's not true. So
right.
So yeah, how's the garden?
It's so good. I mean, we're in the dead heat of summer, which is fascinating that a lot of people think you can't grow things in winter and you can't grow things in Houston heat. I want to remind everybody that there are much colder and much warmer places, and things grow in those temperatures. It's just certain fruits and vegetables like hot, some like cold, some like both. So everything's a timing thing. Spring is like the fun time because it's so easy to grow anything. So we're just getting out of that. But as you've witnessed, I started posting things from the garden and the challenges and the harvests and the fun I have with my daughter out there. And so I'm loving it. I took maybe a week off from posting, but I have a queue of videos in my phone to post, but I'm having fun. What's fun is like I'm reconnecting with old friends, more than friends, because they're responding to these posts. And I have a lot of people that have kind of commented or reached out. It's like, this is so funny. Like these were like party friends, like party, right? When we're younger days, we're all fucking old and gardening now. It's so funny,
dude. Bird watching is next. You're going to be a bird watcher.
Oh, I'm for it. No, I'm for it because here's why. Actually, the reason I drink whiskey, because I used to say, who wants to drink that shit straight? So my wife at the time and I were in Costa Rica, and we had this very cool tour. It was like a week-long tour in Tortuguero, where you can only get by boat or plane. And it was a group tour guide. We were the only ones in the group. So we had this private tour guide. But I don't want to sit around the resort. Let's go into the woods. Let's go walking. Let's go find animals. Let's go. So our tour guide loved Scotch. I'm like, bro, I got you. So I got them all liquored up. I'm drinking Scotch with them. And that's how I started liking Scotch. And we'd go out and find these animals. And the thing that you notice,
you get drunk on Scotch and go find animals.
Yeah, for sure. Like the jungle's my happy place. So I want to know all the things. And the thing about the guides is they have these fucking eyes. Like I remember we're on a bus. This was a different tour. We're on a bus traveling 40, 50, 60 miles an hour down the road. And he tells the bus driver, stop. And like make this immediate stop. And on the fucking power line, there's like this fucking beetle. The thing's 50, 100 feet away. He spots this beetle, right? And I'm like, how the fuck did you see that? there was another time we were on a walking tour through the jungle, and the guy spots a toucan, and you can't see it by naked eye. Like, I'm with binoculars, still can't see it. You gotta look under this branch, through this branch, under this and he just spots it while walking. And so, like, I loved how, like, easy they were able to spot things. So I asked Mr. Scotch tour guide, I was like, "How is this possible? Like, how do y'all train yourselves to be able to do this? Because I wanna learn." And he said, "We all start as birders." And
Really?
that's yeah.
Huh.
So you're joking, but I've been interested in birding for that, to be able to be more perceptive of the things around me.
Yeah. Wow. It
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Birds are hard to spot. We walk through this park every day, and there's a ton of bird noises, but you don't see any birds.
Right.
So they're probably right there, and you're just not trained to
Yeah.
spot
Well, Bree has a double chance of seeing
them.
twice as likely.
Yeah, true. Good point.
To train her first.
Yeah. Well, to me, it looks like your garden is just now really producing significant food. So you're approaching the beginning of summer, and I would imagine in Houston, it's probably felt like summer for a month at least already.
Right. Yeah.
And you're really getting serious food, not just like
Well,
some little
here's
onions
here's
and
what
stuff.
I can explain that. So last spring was when I started this whole thing. So remember, I couldn't keep a weed alive if I tried. I couldn't keep grass alive. And last spring, I decided to maybe a little bit before spring, I started with herbs indoors and I killed them all. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going all the way. And so every crop you got to learn. And I'm learning through failure. Like, I'm not posting the failures, I'm posting some failures because I think people can resonate and also learn from. But I just went in and started doing I'm not, like, learning cucumbers. I'm learning, like, 20 different crops, right? Like, you go to my garden right now, there's probably 50 different crops. But, one of the things I learned last spring, summer was I'm not getting enough of the things to eat consistently. So I learned to plant more of those things and dedicate this space for that thing, and also how to keep that thing alive. So now we're in year 2 of the season that I started. So, like, winter was okay for me this year. Winter next year is gonna be awesome because I know what I'm doing better.
Yeah.
So it's my second time around for spring, summer.
And I'm assuming that this is not trial and error. You are watching videos, reading books. You're
It's
somehow
both.
getting the insight as to how to
It's
do
both.
this.
It's both. It's both. It's always gonna be both. So you can learn all you want from a book or on TikTok, and I couldn't have done what I've done without TikTok, but you're still gonna learn. Oh, that didn't fucking work. And the other thing about gardening is, and any gardener will tell you this, you're always experimenting. There are always tests in the garden. You're
Mhm.
trying some new shit or some other thing. Um, I'll give you an example. Like right now, I've had a hell of a time with avocados. I get them started and they die. I get them rooted, they die. I have one that's come up and it's real leafy and full, and then I had one that
It's
my
a
dad
tree,
gave me.
right?
It's a tree, but I'm just getting going, right? Dad gave me this big one, and finally I got it out of the water, got it in the soil, and it was so temperamental. I kept losing the leaves and then growing back and losing, and finally it just started dying. Like, so, I bought what I thought I was buying a scion, which is a cutting of an older tree that you can graft onto a younger tree so that it has age, it'll fruit sooner. But it turns out no, it was like a rooted. It wasn't a seedling, it was bigger. I mean, the stem was like this thick. And I bought it and I was like, okay. So I fucked up the soil in the last one. It was a drainage issue. So I go on TikTok and I find all the okay, everybody's opinion of the soil. And it just didn't seem like that was gonna work. Like there was no nutrients of what everybody was saying. Like it was just fucking perlite and rocks and so I planted this thing in some version I made up with that and added a bunch of shit and um we'll see what it looks like. It doesn't it's draining, but it still kind of looks wet and I may end up killing this $30 fucking thing that I bought.
So,
And I don't really buy like plants, like produce plants. I do everything from seed.
yeah.
So we'll see. It's trial and error. Yeah.
Why are you going against, if you got a majority of videos that are telling you stop messing with the soil and just
Because the other half of that is fake information. You know how many hacks I found on TikTok? Oh, you're struggling with this pest. Put salt, put baking powder, put dish soap, whatever. You know how many fucking plants I've killed listening to those assholes? So you gotta fucking like make your own decisions. You take like part of what you learn, like, is that real? Is it not? Like, there's so much misinformation out there.
And are you using primarily TikTok for this? Or are you also going to YouTube and just going to websites and chat GPT?
I use TikTok and I've gotten more onto the chat GPT. And even chat GPT has made a lot of mistakes in my garden.
That doesn't surprise me.
GPT.
I have a negative skewing opinion of chat GPT. For
I silence everything and my fucking alarm goes off. D&D doesn't care about alarms.
D&D?
Do not disturb.
Oh, I thought you were playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'd be like, damn, that's another thing I don't understand.
Yeah, me either.
So I think you should post the fails at an equal rate of or equal proportion to what they're how they're happening, because I think it is encouraging for people to see that. And there's nothing worse. There's not you see the perfection of social media and then you just start feeling like shit because you're not that skinny, you're not that smart, you're not that funny, you're not that going to that cool of places. But you're not that good of a gardener. No, not you. I'm talking about people.
Yeah, for sure. And what's fun is like people coming out the WordWorks like, oh, I'm just starting, like, and I've had several requests to help them. Like, yeah, one chick from my real estate world was like, hey, if you need help, like, I'll come over and help, like, just to learn. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, damn. Labor. I'll come be a laborer because I want to learn that stuff. Well, it doesn't surprise me one bit. You are onto things 18 months before everybody else.
I say that all the time. And we haven't talked about, you've been telling me this stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
And other people too. And I've had a few things happen that says, you need to listen to these things Joe's telling you and these other people are telling you. And we'll talk about it offline. I told you about what ChatGPT told me. But there's been more since that the universe is like, you're going to fucking do this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, it has happened so many times. And, keto is the thing that stands out to me the most because we've seen the complete cycle now. Like, you did it, everybody thought you were nuts, and then we saw the results, and then everybody that you knew did it. And now we've all gone through that cycle, and nobody's keto anymore, but the world is, the world kind of followed suit also. So I think that all of the rest of us that started doing it when the world started doing it, like stuff started showing up in the grocery store that said keto friendly.
Oh, that's right.
When you had started it, there was nothing in the grocery store that was keto friendly.
Nobody knew what keto was.
Yeah.
Unless you had an epileptic child or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then the next thing was the psychedelics and spirituality and stuff, which is big trending now.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen the end of that cycle, right? Like I hope there's no end to that one.
Well, and I think that it's permeated through a lot of society. That's and I maybe keto is this way too. Like there's certain people that are just not going to get deep into that. Like I don't think that I'll get deep into the psychedelic side of things.
Yeah, but those that need it are looking for answers, they will.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. It's for those that are looking for answers
Yeah.
or help
Yeah.
or that are suffering, you know.
Right.
So it's a different thing where it's like everybody wants to drop a few pounds,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Anywho, yeah, the garden's good. Yeah.
but you know,
Thanks for bringing it up.
I went to the grocery store yesterday and like you can just buy all this shit. You know that, right? Like you don't and you get it right away. Like you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. You just go there and it's cheap. I probably spent less than you did to get a cucumber.
Yeah, 100%. You spent way less than I spent growing it for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I assume that you know that, but then like I would be.
Wait, what's this place called?
You wouldn't believe it. There's a whole bunch of them in every town. You can go to different places and choose.
So, yes, I'm well aware. So, couple things. So, the first and easiest to talk about is even in your organic section of produce, there are a lot of things that are allowed to be that are not. I wouldn't call that shit organic. Like,
Right.
there's so many factors, but there is a legal allowable tolerance for all those things. So like my shit is like the cleanest produce, but you can feed your children, which is kind of my next thing. So when I started my hunting venture all those years ago, there was a real sense of pride and accomplishment and just love in feeding your children or your spouse or both the animal that you harvested with your hands in the wild, not in like some high fence cage, like these paid hunts. No, like you went into the wild, tracked the animal, or you were able to draw it in or whatever, you harvested that. It was very primal, but also made you proud. And you're feeding them the best meat you could possibly get. You can't find meat that good in the grocery store, period.
Right.
There's that same thing with the produce. Like when my daughter says, I'm hungry, and I say, well, go to the backyard and grab some. Like that's fucking awesome. When Charlize comes to work with me during the summers and she comes and my dad has a garden back here and we grab some of his green beans and they're, giant green beans that I showed him how to grow or whatever. And she's just walking around the office chomping on raw green beans. And Megan's like, that's so cool. Your daughter eats vegetables? And I'm like, yeah. Like when we're in the garden, we are chowing down. Like I'm doing the work and we're grabbing berries and we're grabbing green beans and we're grabbing peppers and just eating while we're working. Like it's so fucking rewarding. Like, and like, I'm going to just say this. So, if you don't know, I battled depression for the vast majority of my life, very major depression, suicidal multiple times. And have found a way to cure it, no longer treating with meds. If you're interested, reach out and we can talk privately. But I say that to say this. We've all heard about grounding. Some people call it earthing, whatever, getting your feet, bare feet on Mother Earth. And the science is there. Like we know how important that is to our physiological being and the healing properties it has. But they did a study regarding serotonin and putting your hands in dirt. So as it turns out, getting your hands in dirt has the same serotonin release as these SSRIs, these antidepressant pills that you're taking that are ruining your fucking brain. And so you want to beat depression, get in the fucking garden. Go barefooted. Like, I get so much joy. And for everybody out there, like, I'm an extremist. Like, I love my dopamine. I'm ADD. I'm the most riskiest fucker out there. I make terrible life decisions chasing dopamine, but I have a good time doing it. But smart enough to stay out of real trouble. But if you want some joy, go start a garden. Like, it's I have so much fun. Look, during the week, I come to work, right? My alarm set for 6:00. I will snooze for 45 fucking minutes. And I love what I do. I love the people that work here. I love what I do. I'll snooze for 45 minutes. I can be up till 3 in the morning on a Friday. On Saturday, no alarm. I'm up at 7. I get my ass out to the garden. Like, I'm excited to wake up. I
Yeah.
don't even drink coffee. On the weekends, I don't even drink coffee. I just get my ass in the garden. I'm slow at first, but then I get into it. I got my music. My ADD gets to run wild, and I'm doing this and that and this. It's so much fun.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you found
Thanks.
something that brings you so much pleasure. That is not unhealthy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but
But you go to grocery store.
like, you can also just eat them right there too. And the more you eat while you're in there, the less you have to pay. I don't know if people know that hack, life hacks. So, all right, that's probably bad advice. But yeah, that makes sense, and it's cool that you found such a thing, and that you're teaching Charlize that as well, and that she's seeing it and experiencing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So good. We'll all be freaking gardening. You've almost reached that 18-month mark where everybody's going to be like, I guess I got a garden too.
5 more months.
Yeah. So I have plants because of you. I never had a plant before, and I have a couple of plants now. So they don't.
I have a fun story.
Produce anything.
So, and she'll see this. So, my dad was one of the many influences that was growing produce. I mean, not like in a big way, but he has garden here at the factory in the back and hens and all that, which the hens were my idea, but he's doing it now. And so, my mom has always and I think a lot of moms are like this, like, you don't call me enough. I just call me to say hi, like one day you call and she's like, it's about time you call me. I'm like, but what happened recently was, I think she noticed how close my dad and I have gotten. Like, he's going to my house when I'm out of town watering the plants. I'm calling him, hey, what's going on in the garden? He's been out with COVID. I'm watering his plants here, right? And we're talking all the time. And so my mom went out and bought some pepper plants.
Really?
Yeah. And she's on the 21st floor, right, in a condo.
Yeah.
And she calls me, Gabe, my flowers are falling. They're not turning into peppers. Like, my dad's right there.
Yeah.
My dad's a pepper growing machine. Like, she didn't ask dad. She called me.
That's great.
Like, no, I don't know if bees are getting up there. You got to get a paintbrush and you can pop. So yeah, it is great.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Right?
Very.
Do you have, prior to that, did you have a schedule that you call your mom on?
No, I recently added a reminder to my thing. Yeah. Why? Do you have a schedule?
Yeah. Yeah. Ever since I moved up here, I call my mom every Sunday morning, and now I call my dad every Saturday morning. So
that's pretty great. I had a couple of things, I wanted to help my mom with depression, and she wanted to help at that time. And so I would go to her house every Wednesday after work. And little by little that faded away. She kept giving excuses. She did so good for many months, and then just started the excuse situation. And then I don't know if it's before or after that, we were doing breakfast every Sunday morning. But that got tricky. The Sunday got tricky, but yeah, I want to get back to that. And you stick to it every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time that I don't is if we are traveling. Like I don't call during market. So, market. And then if we're traveling, I usually like any kind of traveling, I usually won't do it then, but I'll make up for it. So like if I can't call because we're away on Sunday, then I'll call Monday afternoon, or I'll make up for it in that week. But otherwise, if we're at home, it's every Saturday and Sunday morning I call them. So yeah, it's good.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Debate topic. Are recliners stylish or still the furniture equivalent of dad jeans? And I'm going to say worse, mom jeans.
Oh.
Do you own a recliner?
There is a recliner in our house, and it's Bree's recliner. Yeah. And
okay.
I think that I don't think that it's ever going to be a terribly stylish thing. Like if you went into the White House or, like some fancy designer's house, I don't think you're ever going to see a recliner. But, they're also not going to be terribly concerned with comfort. And so, no, I don't think the recliner can ever be a super stylish thing. Even the stressless and, like the really fancy, really upscale recliners.
They're just not fashionable.
And yeah.
I want a recliner so bad.
What are you waiting for?
I'm not going to do it. So when I was growing up, you had the den, which was like the comfortable place, and then you had the living room where nobody fucking goes with all the expensive furniture.
Yeah.
The formal living room, formal dining room, never used. I think this generation's done with all that, but my whole house is pretty like that.
Yeah.
But pretty and function don't go together. I want a recliner so bad, but a fashionable recliner doesn't exist. But so I don't know much about furniture, but you do. Why can't they just make a recliner pretty?
I mean, there are efforts to make them pretty, but in order to make it really an attractive piece, it starts to move away from being a comfortable recliner. And so you want a recliner because it's comfortable.
Well, what is it? Like, why can't you have, I just don't understand why you can't have both. Just put more foam with straight, clean edges.
Well, and that exists. I mean, there are versions like that are more sleek and contemporary and would fit into your aesthetic better.
I want to hear from the audience.
It's still not.
I want chat, tell us. I hate people that say chat. Our 12 followers.
Tell us in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you're listening.
Comfortable recliner. Have you seen them? Do they exist? Send us pictures. Put in the comments. I don't think they exist.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like the White House, Buckingham Palace, You
keep saying the White House. It's so ugly. What do you do? Stop it.
But it's, it's fancier, uncomfortable furniture. And, even any highly designed environment just doesn't seem to have that. And they strive to make recliners look less like recliners. And they're getting closer to that. But it's a functional piece. You just get one. What do you care?
I'm not doing it.
Why?
No.
Who are you
You've
trying
been
to
in my
impress?
House. Bitches. What are you gonna do? Sorry,
they're not gonna be. Nobody's gonna walk into your house and be like,
"Ugh, he has a recliner." I'm not fucking him.
Look at this loser.
I'm not getting a recliner. They're hideous. I love my design space. Sean was right. The first time he designed my previous house, he's like, once you go design, there's no going back. And there is no going back. Like, there's something about being in pretty places that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And I like my pretty place.
It
I
doesn't
do want to.
feel sterile. Where do you go to lounge and relax? Like sometimes you want to just lay around, right? Do you just do that in your bedroom?
So either in my bed, if I want to fall asleep, or if I'm lying to myself, I'll take the 37,000 pillows off my sofa, which is an uncomfortable sofa, but it's a flat surface in my living room, or I'd call it a den, but there's no TV.
Right.
And I'll lay there. It happened today. Like, so I left work early to be back in time to do this podcast. And I told Charlize, I'm not gonna fall asleep. But if I do, don't make sounds. Don't go pop popcorn open in the fridge and blah blah blah. She saw me like moving pillows. She goes, "Oh, you're going to sleep." And I did. And I got 45 minutes of so needed rest.
So, what do you do like after work? Do you sit on the couch or like you make dinner and then you eat the dinner and you clean up and then you and Charlize just go to your bedrooms? Or like what is it like when you're just
Yeah.
at home without an errand or a chore or something?
Well, there's never not a chore.
Okay.
Um, I'm a little different than most, I'm the Energizer bunny, right? So I'm going until I can't go anymore. On a typical day, I get home, get in the garden, take off my work shirt. I'm out there in a wife beater, my hat, water what needs to get watered. There's some pruning. It's very light stuff, very light. Weekends are reserved for kind of like bigger projects. But I get out there. If I'm planning to cook, I come in when the sun starts going down, cooking, cleaning. And usually by the time I clean, I'm spent.
Okay.
And then I'll plop on the couch and unwind with TikTok or
Okay.
Bumble.
So you'll lay on the couch or sit on the couch and just go to social media. Just doing things on your phone.
Yeah, that's my unwind. And I will fall asleep watching TikTok, which is interesting because when I first got on TikTok, it was terrible for my sleep pattern. And I'd be up all night till the sun came up and not even realize it.
Yeah.
Super addictive. And now it is my melatonin.
Okay. Well, then it's likely because you're also getting this physical activity of being out in the garden and doing other stuff. So your
maybe
body's tired and you're going to the gym now too, right? So you're expending energy doing that stuff.
Alex just goes, Yes.
How's the gym
Doing those
working out? You
things.
feel strong?
I've always felt strong. Was I actually strong? That's the question.
You have the confidence of a very strong guy.
I feel good. That's it. I feel good. It's not just the going to the gym. The thing is, when I go to the gym, I prioritize my health in other areas. It's hard for me to eat clean and do all the things, take my supplements and all that stuff without the gym. The gym, for me, the way my brain works is when I go to the gym, I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So everything seems to like work well together when I'm working out. And so all those things are clicking. We have a rebrand coming up, and October High Point Classy Art will have a complete rebranding. And Jonathan thought it'd be a good idea to rebrand ourselves for that as well. So Classy Art has a secret.
So he is in on this as well?
Yeah.
Nice. Working out?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So what he did, he took back, he remembered back when we first got like our own showroom. I remember it was a High Point or Vegas or whatever. And he was just like, it was such a big deal, not just at the showroom, but like people were like talking about like, who are y'all? Like y'all stepped out of the umbrella of, you know, that other furniture manufacturer and like you're doing your own thing and you're all thin and fit and you Gabe's got blonde hair and like who are these people? Like these aren't the same people. So
Outfits,
like
like you started upping your
flamboyant
style.
outfit. Yeah. Yeah. So doing a bit of that, just kind of we're rebranding the company in October, which will be a very, very big deal, but we're rebranding ourselves as well.
Yeah. So you're going to take all of the art that was on the left side of the showroom and move it to the right side,
Yeah, and vice versa.
and we're going to change
And
the
we'll
color
sprinkle in
palette
10,
from teal
10 new
to
10 new SKUs we'll sprinkle in.
you make it a scavenger hunt to find the new SKUs.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Find the new SKUs, get 1% off.
If you can name them or something, that would be kind of interesting. Well, that's good. I'm
We did
excited to see
we
it.
did that one we did a scavenger hunt. But what we did so we did one of those like virtual tours showroom videos.
Mm-hmm.
You know those guys that come in, everybody like, we can do a video of your show. You know those guys,
Do they all
like
talk
a
like
Google
that?
map of your show. Yeah, they
Yeah.
did just like that.
Are we gonna do
I don't remember where they were from.
under a
Estonia.
bridge?
And so we did that, and then we told our customers. Well, we sent it to the reps, but then told the customers like, find these 5 items in the virtual tour, and then you got some, I don't remember, half off rate or whatever it was. It was fun. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was like find the fire extinguisher, find the whatever little things.
Yeah, that's good. And there's that's really interesting. There's a lot of people that are into Wordle. Um, are you familiar with what
The
Wordle is?
phone game?
Yeah, the game on the phone.
Still? I
I
thought that was gone.
I don't know if it's gone or not. Like I don't play it that much. Bree has it, and sometimes I'll play when she's
I
playing.
think there's a Pokemon called Wordle too.
Oh, well, but
I don't know.
nevertheless,
It feels like there should be.
people get into those games, and if there was a way to gamify some of the showroom experience, that would be. I think people get into it. They like the challenge of it, and everybody wants to be a winner.
Mm.
So, what ways can you do that? Where's Waldo type of a? I mean, that's kind of what you did, but maybe there's some other way. Trivia. I mean, every bar in the world has trivia on their slow night to get people in.
Yeah. There's this great marketing company that I employ called Tango Multimedia. If you don't know about them, check it out. I may outsource that to them.
Yeah. All right. Good idea. Classy art bingo. Woo!
I fucking love bingo. So much fun.
Yeah. Who doesn't? So do you have any
Yeah.
other prompts on your Chat GPT fire?
Oh, let me see. I pulled up. Hold on, I did. Open floor plans done or still going strong?
Next.
No, do it. It's important.
You
to
mean
me.
for homes? We're not home designers.
I'm going with showroom.
I think
I
this
read
is talking
that.
about homes.
Well, I read that and thought showroom.
All the showrooms are open floor plan because you
Right.
see all throughout the showroom. So yeah.
And that's staying a thing.
Of course. Yeah. No. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on the showroom. Some of them are.
Well, no.
I think
when I started, everybody was vignetted off.
Yeah.
Everybody. And then shit changed.
Yeah.
Which made less real estate for us.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So I'm just putting this into the universe, manifesting. Thank you, ChatGPT.
Yeah. All right.
We're changing the game.
Everybody should have more vignettes if you're selling furniture. It makes it more interesting. It adds intrigue if you weave throughout a showroom and you don't know where you are. I mean, look at IKEA. Can't figure
There's
out.
a lot of psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the psychology, like we all have ADD And when people are looking at this group, they're looking at that group, that group, that group, that group. You can't make a cognitive decision on this group because you're looking at everything else.
Yeah.
And unless it's an impulse item, the cognitive decision making isn't going to happen. If you want to put less power in your salespeople, vignette it off, because it's requiring the salesperson to say, hey, back over here. What do y'all think of this?
Yeah. Yeah. And it adds intrigue and mystery and
you can accessorize them more. So you have a higher perceived value.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Vignettes, bitches.
Manufacturers, listen up. So you looking up another one? So before we started, Gabe had ChatGPT provide furniture related top. What was the prompt?
Why are you calling me out, man? They don't need to know that. I thought I was being creative. Damn.
I think ChatGPT is going to make all of us dumber.
Yeah, for sure. I'm good with it. Spend more energy on my garden.
But what about?
Okay, this is a good one.
All right.
How being friends helps and hurts in business. And I'll add family, friends or family.
Okay. Yeah, that's and I think there's two very different things, but it gives you a level of trust, so
Time
it
to take the trash
helps.
out.
What?
My alarm went off. It's time to take the trash out. Fuck, you just can't get away from it. Okay, sorry.
You could silence your phone.
My phone is on silent and do not disturb, but alarms come through.
That's messed up. Turn your alarms off before we start.
I know. I'm getting better. All right.
You're getting better. Like we're 17 episodes in and you're still having the alarm go off.
All right. So tell me your perspective, friends and family.
I think it helps because of the level of trust. So you trust that your friend is not going to do the worst thing to you. And I'm in the middle of a book that is talking about psychology and how it works in business and advertising. And we value not making the worst decision much higher than we value making a better decision. So, it's the fear of screwing up royally far outweighs the opportunity for better gains. And I think that doing business with friends highlights that. You even if you don't assume that you're going to get the best deal from your friend, and this could be working in business together, or like who you buy a car from, or who you get your house repairs done by. If it's somebody that you know and trust, you believe that they're not going to screw you over. Where you might be able to do business with somebody else who might have a slightly better price, but they might also completely screw you over and just steal your money. And so the better price, the better deal is not outweighed by the feeling of trust that you get with somebody you know. And
they say the people that fuck you the worst are the closest to you too.
Yeah.
So you better be a good judge of character. Who?
I've not heard him say that, but I guess it is. There's evidence of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
And it happens a lot. Now, now that you say
I don't want to get morbid, but like when you talk about children and the sexual issues of children, usually it's somebody very close to the child.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same shit in business. And, I say that at one side of my mouth, but, we're a family company and we hire friends and that quickly become family. And so I definitely have a perspective on this topic. I think you better be a damn good judge of character. And I like to think that we are. We have not had any of those particular instances. And I'm knocking on this real wood table from Exclusive Furniture. Hey, holla.
Holla at your boys at Exclusive.
So, but you're right. I think the trust, I think people need to trust but verify. Like there should be controls in place, especially when you're dealing with a position where, accounting's involved and like, so trust but verify. But we've been very fortunate. We've worked with a lot of people that have been very close to us. Obviously, my business partners, Jonathan, my brother, and like we're two peas in a pod. Like we'll set the world on fire together if we have to. But
Yeah.
for the Priscillas, the Blakes, right, the Craigs, like we're hiring some of our best friends in the world, and it makes work enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, trust but verify, and then shit changes too, right? So be flexible and be understanding and caring, and no, here's what it is. We can figure it out. Most people in business put profits first. And I've said this a long time. Classy art puts people before profits. And this happens at a customer level, a vendor level, and it certainly happens at an employee level. And so be open to feedback from them. And don't just say you are, be truly open. And then when they give you that feedback, take the action so that they continue to trust you. Because it's not just you trusting them, they need to trust you, you know.
And
Um,
how would you feel about working with family where you're not equals in the business? Because I think then that is where it gets tricky. Like
yeah, I've
sometimes
not
you have to
experienced
fire
that.
people.
Yeah, I
And what if
haven't experienced that. Well, I did have my son working here in the warehouse one summer, and he was quickly fired, and I won't bring him back. So that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I do know because the sales force, uh, while I was the acting sales manager, right? You develop this relationship with people and you spend years with this people. And it's not just work because, in the classy art showroom, you're having cocktails, you're joking, you're learning about their wives and their. I have one guy right now,
well,
for
and you're spending
example.
4 weeks a year with them, almost 24 hours, with
Right.
the exception of sleeping
Yeah.
at all those markets. And when there was Tupelo, you had 2 more weeks.
So we have one example right now, because it does create a challenge, and maybe you make poor business decisions because of this relationship, but sometimes it's worth it. So like, we have a rep that 2 years ago, he was already a very old school rep. The guy sent an order one time by snail mail. Just I just want to throw that out there. But he's the kindest guy you've ever met, and he works. He's in his car every fucking day. And then a couple years ago, his wife developed Alzheimer's, and he came out. He's like, "Look, I gotta deal with this. I'm not gonna be on the road as much." Probably like, well, we understand. Like like do you? And we're 2 years later, and like some of our customers have the same sentiment. Like, hey, we don't need a rep, and they're like, oh wait, what's his name's our rep? And we're good. We're good. Leave him. Leave him. And so that's where it gets challenging, like that area, because like we should have cut him 2 years ago, a year ago. We should cut him today. We're not going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that decision is a poor business decision, but because we're better humans before businessmen. That's for us. That's where the challenge is.
Yeah. Yeah. But and this is that's a case where I don't think that you would feel like that fella is taking advantage of you. He's
No.
dealing with something. And so, how does it change when you've got a family member that takes a job with you and then just, uh,
Right.
takes the attitude that, well, I don't have to work that hard because I'm family and I can do whatever I want. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, we don't have that.
well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you and Jonathan both are very hard workers at your core, and you kind of came into this together. It might be different if you were, if Jonathan had taken over this business and then was hiring you today,
Mhm.
you know. So I don't know. I'm the doing business with friends. When I was starting out as a buyer, my mentor, um, so, I was questioning that. I was like, all of these guys that we buy from are our buddies. And, should I spend time looking at other lines and, considering, stuff from guys that don't come in all the time and we don't have a good relationship with. And he said, um, you know, those guys aren't coming in to pitch you, so what is it going to be like when you're doing business with them? Like they have the most incentive right now to come in and introduce their line to you, and they're
Yeah.
not doing it. So be very careful if you just go out looking at random lines, where you don't already have a relationship with them, because
Mm.
you know if that's the kind of service they're giving you now, what kind of service are they going to give you when you're a customer and you have significant problems? And that actually happened. There were a couple of lines that I was very aware of, because you hear people comparing themselves to these lines, like, here's my recliner and it's just like XYZ recliner, but ours is $10 cheaper. And then a different rep comes in and he says, look at my recliner. Mine is ships faster than XYZ recliner. And you have different guys that keep comparing themselves to XYZ, and you start to think, well, maybe I should be buying XYZ. So everybody's
Right.
comparing themselves to that. So then that was an example where I went into that line and I bought some stuff, and then the rep never showed up. He didn't, help me pick out what was, the right thing for my showroom. He didn't help, do sales training for my salespeople. He just didn't do anything. And it's like, well, all right, now I see why, even though that's a good line, for many, it's not right for us because we can't get the support that we need.
Mm.
I don't know how that related to. I guess that's like the friendship
Well, doing
part
business
of.
with friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you became friends or were friends with the reps selling you, and I become friends with the reps selling for me.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think the other part of that equation is not wanting to screw up the friendship, because of work stuff.
Well, and that's where I was going, was like, there are business decisions that are the right thing to do, and sometimes we don't take them because they're friends or family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
just having your conversations be entirely about business. If you have a good friendship and then suddenly you find yourself only talking about business, that's not necessarily the
oh,
best
right.
thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. So when I was married, I remember like between college and grad school, my wife was like, "Oh, I can come help in the business." And I remember being like, "Hell no." Like, I saw my parents
Yeah.
as kids, right? And like work came home, it was at the dinner table, it was at the theme parks, work was everywhere in their conversation. I was like, hell no.
Yeah. Well, and then, there's an I think it's old school way of thinking about relationships too. That, do you want to be friends with your spouse?
Mm-hmm.
Like the older generation, perhaps not our parents, but certainly our grandparents, that I think that the father would never consider his wife his friend. Like he had friends, the guys were his friends and his wife was his wife. And I think the wife would feel the same way. The mother would say, well, my girlfriends are my friends. My husband's not my friend. And, that seems like a very 1950s mother and father kind of way of being that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan, like of the current. Yeah, like I
was just gonna say.
Yeah, no, I like
Bree, if you're
friends.
listening.
She ain't listening.
I've got room in my life for another friend. She ain't listening. What kind of friend is that? Not even listening. Damn.
But yeah, I like this. I like being friends with my spouse.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine that seems like such a closed off world, coming home and not talking to them about, your life, because that's the stuff that you share with your buddies only.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this evolved.
Okay. Yeah. Jesus. We were talking about furniture.
Do you have another good furniture prompts?
Let me see.
Are you hearing from anybody? Like, are your dealers struggling? People doing well? Are they complaining? Are they okay? Do you even know who your dealers are? Do you talk to them?
I do. The ones I talk to are doing well, but the ones I talk to are also part of the problem when you talk to reps, because they're the giant, like they're the ones that are causing the consolidation.
Okay.
When you talk to the reps or the independents, yeah, they're all struggling. One, it's summertime. That's traditionally the slowest time for furniture dealers, but at this on this in the same conversation, it's like it's always that way. They're always complaining. In the 20 years I've done this, there's only been 2 years where people were like excited. And it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Because everybody was doing crazy numbers. You can sell a piece of shit in a box if it had a guarantee.
Okay, Tommy boy.
I'm glad you got it. Thank you. Good job. Do you want me to shit in a box and put a guarantee? I got time. I got spare time. So yeah, I mean, it just depends who you ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I saw I saw something. It was a quote from the guy who runs City Furniture in Florida. Not the father, but the son. Son's running it now, I believe. And this was on LinkedIn, but I think he was talking to somebody from one of the publications, and he said something like, "I can't, like we're anticipating things getting back to normal." And I just thought,
Wait, when
man,
was this?
This was like as COVID was winding down, something like that, I believe. And it could have been before that.
Okay.
But that was my gut reaction was things have never been normal. It's never been easy. And it must have been maybe it was at the beginning of COVID when freight got all crazy, and I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember that feeling of it's never easy. And every time you turn around, there's something in the way of just going gangbusters, even during COVID. Like
Right.
you could sell whatever you could get, but you couldn't get stuff.
You couldn't get it. Yeah.
So it's like just never ever been easy. And
That topic's come up several times in this podcast, and I think we need to just kind of like call out furniture dealers.
yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Stop saying it's hard. It's always been hard. There are always challenges. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If you want easy, go get a fucking job. Like, you're building generational wealth for your family. Stop complaining about it. You're a one percenter. Go out and make something happen. Go learn something. Go change something. Right? I'm just so frustrated with seeing these people complaining and then they go out of business, complaining, go out of business. Like, grind.
Well, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because what frustrates me is when they complain and then they are on a month-long cruise. I think, holy
Yeah,
shit.
there's that. Right.
Or they like, I can't take the call right now. I'm at the Bentley dealership getting my Bentley worked on, or picking out a new one. I'm like, what? What are you complaining about?
So terrible, right? I don't want this to be for us to be complaining to them. I don't want it to be demotivational. This conversation is to motivate you. Like, you have such an amazing gig. Like,
Yeah.
make the most of it. You have the core setup, all these environmental changes, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's tariffs, they're all opportunities. If you just take some mushrooms and sit in a think room and come up with some great ideas, like, there's so much opportunity, and
how
so
how do you come up with ideas? So what does it look like? You've talked about the think room. And so what does that process look like?
um there is a lot of different methods. It just depends. Like, when there's an issue, we'll go to the think room, and Jonathan Craig and I will be in there, and we'll throw a bunch of shit on the wall and see what sticks. Issues are the easiest to get creative because you're forced into it. So we're in the room, the think room. But then there's some ideas that just come to you. And you know what? So Jonathan, I'm going to say, at one point, was a really creative guy. He's our bean counter now. But I remember one time, this really came when we had our marketing firm, because we had to be creative all the time. Furniture industry is so fucking easy. Just one little thing, you're like a marketing guru, right? But for Capital One, for the Houston Texans, NFL, for all Broadway across America, like you were mentioning earlier, all these guys force us to get really creative all the time. And sometimes we just sit in a room and say, okay, we need to do this for Classy Art. And I remember specifically one time we were hitting a deadline on some ad graphics that we're doing. I was like, dude, come on. Like, today's the last day. And he goes, you can't rush these things. He's just so fucking arrogant. But he was right. And
Yeah.
so these things just kind of come to you. So like, I'll share an experience. So if you don't know, Classy Art donates a meal to an American child with food insecurities. We've done 190,000 meals in the past 3 years. It's one of the things I'm most proud about. And that idea came to me. I'm literally in the shower coming off LSD.
Which we don't recommend.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I recommend all psychedelics to all humans because it'll open your brain into areas that have been closed by society, and other forces. But anyways, so yeah, so sometimes they just come to you, and in the shower, I was like, I wonder if I can find meals for under $1, and I'll just eat that margin, so I don't have to raise my price. And then I went to work that same day, and I had like 10 browser windows open. I like searched all these companies, and then I found this company that was great, and it was like 28 cents a meal. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then we flew to Indiana, we toured them, we met them, and they were great people. We made the deal, and we're still doing business with them today. And so just listen. Sometimes you have to like stop. And I talk a lot about meditation. Like, you need to shut down. Like, especially Americans, we're just filled with distraction. Even while we're driving, we're listening to music, listening to news talk, TikTok, whatever. Like, we're always distracted. There's never a moment of quiet. When you create those moments of quiet, your best ideas will come.
And so, would
So,
you say that your best ideas? What's the ratio between those ideas in the quiet moments and the ideas that come out of chaos when you're
oof.
in the room trying to solve the
Yeah, trying to
problem?
figure it out. Well, here recently, we've spent a lot of time in that room. So 90-10. No, I mean, it's just how much time do you get quiet, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm as much as I'm preaching it, I'm still guilty of not shutting it down enough,
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah. And some of those things are not things that you can manifest. They just have to happen when they happen.
Mhm.
And then you have to be smart enough to seize the
See that moment,
yeah.
write it down, take
Yeah.
action immediately. Don't let it go by the wayside.
Right. I follow this lady who does a lot of reporting on advertising stuff. So, creative campaigns, and she analyzes them and kind of talks about the advertising news each week. And she's at that Cannes Lions Festival, and she was showing submissions. So I'm not aware of any of this. I thought Cannes Lions was a movie festival, but apparently it's advertising too, or I don't know. But she's there for advertising stuff, and she's showing all of these different submissions, and some of them are just like a design of a billboard or an advertising campaign, and some of them are actual physical products that you can touch. And maybe Coca-Cola creates some kind of product that they mail out to restaurant chains. Who knows? I don't know what they are. But one of the things that she showed I thought was so brilliant, and like, of course, it's the kind of idea that you'd say, of course. And why didn't we think about this sooner? And it was Cheetos pants, bright orange, like terry cloth material,
So you
Cheetos
don't see the
colored
dust when you wipe your
pants.
hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, who's wiping the dust? You gotta lick those things.
But you
That's
you learn
brilliant.
to lick them because you get Cheetos dust
Don't want
on
them.
your
Yeah.
shirt.
That's
But what a perfect thing for that company,
yeah,
like
great.
taking this problem that exists for everyone, that the Cheetos stuff is going to get on your
That's a
clothes.
bit of a stretch. It exists for everybody.
Anybody who's ever had Cheetos, if you've eaten a Cheeto, you cannot eat one Cheeto without having that stuff on your fingers.
Yeah.
So every person who's ever put a Cheeto in their mouth with their own hand has experienced this.
That's so
And
funny.
why are we just now coming up with the idea of Cheetos pants? and I bet people would buy them.
Yeah. Well,
Like, it's not the
yeah.
intention to
Make a
buy
line
them,
of them
but
with decent styles.
yeah, in the right color.
Make some yoga pants that color, or the ones that scrunch in the back that make the perfect.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
right.
You know what I'm talking. I'll buy 10 of them just to get them out at the gym.
Yeah. So how do you hit on that? And I think that's like for our clients, a lot of them are looking for that kind of brilliance and advice. And then
Well, as a
when you
marketing firm, you need to be you guys need to be creative. You and I have had a lot of offline conversations about the creativity of Tango
yeah,
and what needs to happen.
right. And we want to be that creative, but our wheelhouse today is really in the distribution of the message.
Hmm.
And so our creation of the message has been born out of necessity. Like
Well,
if you're like we're expert at placing the video or
okay, that's fair.
placing the
So then
ad.
why not partner with a creative firm?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that we talk about a lot, at what point. But as you're growing, you know, you need an account manager to help organize the way things are happening. We got so many different moving parts to every campaign. And so, how do you prioritize when there's only a fixed amount of dollars to work with? Um, but partnering with somebody that was extra creative. And then the other challenge in our industry is with two parts really with furniture store, mattress store clients. Are they able and willing to pay for that kind of creativity? And are they willing to go out on a limb to try that stuff? Once it is creative, or created, what if we came to you and said, the idea is only open on Tuesdays?
So,
Like,
okay.
like,
All right. So
like,
forget about logistical. Let's talk about branding, right? So I think that I don't necessarily know a company that their whole program is finding creative ideas for you to market yourself. What typically will happen is the marketing company spends the time, effort, and energy to create those ideas because let's say I spend 10 grand a month with Tango.
mhm.
And then you bring me this incredible idea. I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love it. Let's double down. We're going 20 grand a month with this idea. That's where the return is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if you guys came to me with some brew, I'm like, yeah, let's run the shit out of it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and I think everybody would feel the same way. That's the return. Tango brought me this idea. Let's run it with them. That's who's already doing our stuff. Double down, right? Like when we create a video that we love or that Alex creates, and we're like, we need this shit. We send it to you guys. We double down on this. We boost all the socials. We do all the things.
yeah. Well,
You
but
know,
you're different than a lot of places. A lot of places wouldn't recognize an idea and say, "I'm willing to invest extra. I'm willing to double my spend because I'm confident in this idea." So, what is a more common approach is, well, if they're willing to accept something that's a bit off the wall and unique and different, that's one challenge. But then the next is, I want evidence that this is going to work. I'm not just going to put money at it. If I'll put the same money at it, I'll put half of the money at this thing. And then if I get some proof that it works, then I will increase my spend over time, that kind of thing. So,
mm-hmm.
um, there's not a lot of businesses that are willing to go out on a limb like you guys are, and I think it shows in other ways too. You take big risks and big swings at stuff.
Chicks dig the long ball. Do you remember those commercials?
No, I have no idea what that's from.
Uh,
So, anyways, anything
all
else?
right.
You seem like you're fading, like you standing up, you leaning over.
No, I'm good. I just needed to stand. Like, fuck that stool. There's no backrest or. What are you working with?
I'm
What's your
standing.
chair
I
like?
stand the whole time.
Oh, all right. It's good for you.
I got my changeable height desk.
Is it going down or are you going up? Oh no, he's showing the average.
Whoa, wait a second.
That's pretty good.
There we are.
Now we need to get you a treadmill so you can podcast on the treadmill. I'll get one too.
Yeah. They're annoying, especially when you're doing video calls and you're going. Yeah, so the June numbers are looking a little off. You guys need to be a little stronger with your sales capabilities. It's kind of hard to take somebody serious when they're doing that, right?
Yeah.
A buddy of mine had a treadmill desk, and he said, we got it with the best intentions. And he said, to actually work at a treadmill desk, you have to walk so slow that it's barely like walking.
Yeah. What about an incline?
Can't. Yeah. I mean, you can put it on an incline, but you just can't exert yourself that much and still type accurately and move your mouse and stuff like that. So it has to be super slow motion. So I'm going with the stand-up desk, and I don't know that it does anything. I don't feel any fitter. You
didn't look any fitter.
I heard that sitting is worse than smoking. And so I thought, well, if I stand up, I could start smoking. Gotta have balance in your life.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Good shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, you ready to wrap it up?
I'm pretty lit.
Are you?
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
I can keep going.
Perfect time to drive.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I can keep going if you want to.
You're in your bedroom.
Yeah, but it is my bedtime.
I dare you to pull one of them skateboards off and ride it on camera.
I mean, I would do it, but the camera doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It lowers. I saw it.
Not enough. All you'd see was my shorts.
Let's go. I want to see what you're wearing on the bottom.
I'm not doing any of that.
What? See, no commitment. No commitment to the brand.
To the bit. I hurt myself, man. Too old for that shit.
You got 4 skateboards acting like a skater boy. 4 of them.
I have 5. Oh shit.
He hurt himself already.
I got this one too.
All right, get on it.
There you go. That's that old school. All right, shit.
All right, call 911.
You ready? You ready?
You just did an ollie.
Yeah, it's right there. Damn, I hurt my foot. Shit. I spit on my microphone.
I always joke, when we talk about how easy it is to get hurt at our age, I'm always like, yeah, I gotta be careful if fart too hard and I like pinch a nerve in my back. I yawn, I got a Charlie horse right here.
Yeah, it's a bitch.
Fuck.
Getting old sucks. Hey, do you have like 401k and stuff like that?
You mean for the company?
I mean, for you personally.
For me?
Are you saving money?
I think 401. I think 401k. Yeah. Well, Jonathan and I have from a very early age thought that the traditional retirement plan for Americans is kind of a racket, and it is, and we could talk a lot about it if you'd like.
Yeah.
We've never invested in a 401k until we finally put one in place for Classy Art as a benefit that we match and things like that. But I don't think 401k is a viable retirement option outside of everybody should max out what their employer matches
Yeah.
and then convert it into something else.
Well, you get it tax deferred. So that's a
Yeah, so
benefit,
it's
isn't
a
it? Like,
tax incentive, you know, but it doesn't hold a flame to, how do you say that? Nothing compares to a Roth. If you're not maxing out your Roth IRA every fucking year, don't bother doing anything else.
okay. So you're,
Period.
all right, I got you.
If you have more than 6,500 a year to max out your Roth, and you know that number changes, but if you're not if you're maxing out your Roth every year, then let's talk about other investments. And I still don't think the 401ks, the SEPs, all those other things are worthwhile unless you're putting the money into there and then rolling them into the Roth. So there are some loopholes with the Roth. So Jonathan and I make too much money, so we're not able to contribute to our Roth IRA any longer.
Mhm.
But what we do is contribute to our traditional IRA. We'll max that out. We'll contribute to a traditional SEP, max that out, and then we'll roll them into the Roth and pay the taxes on that event as ordinary income. And it's worthwhile to build that Roth. Because why would you want to pay taxes later on the growth amount? So here's my problem with the traditional American system of retirement. I'm going to work my whole life and I'm going to retire at 65 or 70 or whatever fucking number when I can't really enjoy my life and hope that I've built this nest egg of capital that will outlive me.
Mhm.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. No, this nest egg of cash should be deployed in investments that are returning enough for you to survive on monthly. And then that nest egg gets transferred to the next generation so that they can build upon and continue that process.
Right.
So that's what we've lived and died by. The Roth IRA, you know, it's still one of those retirement plans, but in a self-directed Roth, you're able to invest in things outside of the traditional stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. So that's what everybody does. I'm not a fan of those things. I play with them, but only with play money.
Mhm.
But the Roth IRA, if it's a self-directed Roth IRA, and there's certain companies that exist to do this for you, you can invest in whatever the fuck you want. You want to go buy a house with your Roth? Go buy a house. You want to buy Bitcoin with your Roth? Go buy Bitcoin. So, for us, that's a better circumstance because you know we do a lot of investments that are very non-traditional, right?
Mhm.
So it works for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But
So,
401k, we do have at Classy Art. Uh, we do fund it. We do give it to our employees, and we match whatever percent at 100%.
yeah. And then are you advising them about these alternative ways to move that money around once it's in the 401k, or do they, most of them,
uh,
not interested in hearing it? Or
I don't know if you can roll over a 401k to a Roth. You know, like we talk freely about because we do our investment stuff in the office. If anybody asks questions, we certainly guide and advise, but um, I don't think you can roll a 401k into a Roth.
well, you could
It's
certainly,
kind of the golden handcuffs.
no, you can
Tell me.
transfer the money from a 401k into an IRA, and then you
Oh,
could roll
okay.
that
Then you
into
can
a
roll it into a
Roth,
Roth.
and if you're willing to pay the tax on it.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
double step.
And there are a lot
A
of
do-si-do, if you will.
and there are a lot of 401ks that allow you to do a Roth 401k, but it still wouldn't allow you to put the money wherever you want outside of their fixed pool of investments.
Right.
Which is the part that I'm not particularly fond of, is most of the 401k plans that businesses have say, you can buy these 6 funds, or you can invest your 401k money into these 6 funds, and or these 25 funds, and not the entirety of the stock market and everything else that's available to them out there in the world.
Yeah.
So, you still buying NFTs?
No. So I'll have a bunch if anybody's interested. No, I mean the technology, you know us, we get in early.
Mm-hmm.
The technology's still there. We still own a bunch. It's still worth a bunch of money, but not as much as they were. But I mean the rate at which we bought some of them, I haven't looked at it in forever, but there's a return and we were having fun.
Well, and it does seem to be a thing that has kind of vanished from the
public conversation.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the technology is still developing.
Replaced by AI. I think AI came about.
It's a bigger thing.
And then everybody's just like, I don't care about anything else but this.
Yeah.
And I guess people still care about cryptocurrency. Like, it's still a thing in the atmosphere, in the ether, but
yeah, that's not going away. Well, AI is bigger than the internet.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know in which direction. I talk a lot about like when the internet first came out, like AOL was the big one, or some of the others.
Netscape,
and
and Yahoo and Ask Jeeves, and
yeah.
But AOL was such an interesting thing. You used to get a CD in the mail.
60 free minutes.
Yeah, like
it took that long to
every
get
week
the image to the nipple.
And then you had to pray that it was the right nipple on the right gender for your taste.
Yeah. So, if you bet on the winning horse at the beginning of internet, you would have been incorrect, right? But nobody would have guessed that it is a part of every minute of every day of our lives. And so AI is that, but probably bigger. The cryptocurrency is big, but that ties into NFT and the blockchain has taken a backseat to AI, but it is the future of the internet, the blockchain.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm it still confuses me what all it is. And, for me, the crypto stuff is what I use the play money for, where I don't really care what happens. And it's enough to be somewhat interested. And the big appeal of it is that it trades over the weekend. So if you do have a touch of the ADHD, it gives you something to look at on the weekend when the stock market stuff doesn't change.
So
Which also I've heard a comedian say is, sort of stupid and random. Like, why does the stock market shut off at 4 p.m.? Like what?
Yeah.
Maybe at one point when there were a bunch of people in a big room and they were all waving tickets in the air and yelling at each other and stuff like that. But it's all digital now. And why does it need to turn off at all?
Well, there are off-market trades.
Yeah.
Jonathan talks about it all the time. And I'm like trying to buy shit on Chase's platform. It's like, no, you got to go to this other platform. I'm like, no, I'm not doing all that. And then I lose out on the opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate.
Anyways.
So.
Oh, wait.
Should we do the...
Oh, it works. All right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. And welcome to Two Homeboys. I'm your host, Joe Walter with Tango Multimedia, and here joined by my beautiful co-host, Gabriel Cohen from Classy Art. And we're happy.
Welcome, everybody.
We're happy to have you join us here today.
That's so funny. I can't believe we forgot to introduce. Good job.
Oh, thank you. Alex is always good at weaving that into the beginning somehow, regardless of where we put it. He does a good job.
Good job, Alex.
Biz, you doing a good job. Biz, you doing a good job.
All right. On that note, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
Be sure to hit all these buttons.
There's no buttons anywhere around there.
Subscribe, follow, notifications, comment. All these buttons. All
right. You happy with that decision?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm going to regret it on the way home. All right, guys. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. See you guys.
And while that was nice because we were able to pick the best sellers and things like that, what you found was,
bitch, I can see you falling asleep while I'm telling my story.
I'm not falling asleep. Look, just try it.